Hello. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Hello. How are we doing? My name is Emmanuel Mugabe. I work with the National IT Authority here in Uganda, and today I'll be your program announcer. I'd like to welcome you to this event, the East Africa Internet Governance Forum, an event that happens every year and rotates between the East African countries. I believe most of us here know what the internet means to us in our daily lives, our workplaces, as well as within our communities or spheres and local communities. The internet means a little bit of someone to everyone, whether you're government. The government is now looking more and more at the internet and how to use it to attach value to the services they offer their citizens, as well as how they interact with other countries as well. And today, most businesses are doing a lot of innovation, see how they can incorporate IT and the internet within their business models to see how they can deliver more, reach more people, as well as be more in touch with their customers. And from the people perspective, all of us use the internet each and every day in our lives. That's why it is important to ask each and every one of us here. There is a reason why we're here today to discuss the internet in East Africa. And the trend of events from the last 5 or 10 years has shown that the internet is, first of all, it is borderless by its nature, so there's no single entity that runs the internet. And that raises questions of governance. Who is responsible for the internet? Who's responsible when things are not right? Or who's responsible for ensuring that its planning is within the best interests of us, the users? And that's how we come to discuss internet governance. The landscape for internet governance has changed quite so much. We see the changes happening at ICANN. We see the US government letting go of that single responsibility of the internet. And this calls us, especially here in Africa, for us to rise up and participate and have our voices heard within the internet governance discussions. Our program today will start with welcome introductions from Lilian Nalonga, who is the chief organizer of this event. She's also our ISOC Uganda chapter president. And we also have on a child representation from ICANN Africa, represented by Bobo Cheng, and Mr. Mwesigwa from the Uganda Communications Commission. We'll also have a representative from the Ministry of Information and Communications Technology, who are part of the partners that have made this event possible, who will be represented by Dr. Jimmy Samanya, the Permanent Secretary. Thereafter, like we talked about the internet, almost all the countries have had national internet governance forums. So we'll be hearing reports from sisters and brothers across the East African community. Thereafter we'll go for a short break, and when we come back we'll be discussing tools, using the internet as a tool for development. Yeah, we'll share experiences from the East African community. From the audience I can see Brian Sifa from Sifa. If you asked him the wonders he's doing in northern Uganda, where it's making the internet become part of the local community, I believe you might, through the discussions you might share with that. Everyone else here has a story of their own. And from there we'll be going to an important topic of digital safety. Because much as we embrace the internet in our lives every day, much as people are doing business online, governments are doing a lot of governance and service delivery online, there are people who are on the opposite side who are intent on pursuing the dark side of the internet. So we have to protect ourselves as the internet. That will create trust in the citizens or users as we use the internet every day. Digital safety will be a topic, and we will listen to various discussions as written on our program. Then thereafter we'll look at the IP, at the internet governance emerging solution within East Africa. Here we're looking at the new things that are coming to the forefront. As most of us know, IPv4 is running out. That's the protocol that was being used for internet connectivity. Other regions have run out of IPv4 space. Africa will still have some, but you can see the trend is showing steadily that we're going to run out of IP for addresses. And when we talk about connecting the next billion, we talk about sustaining internet for everyone. We need to ensure the internet does not limit people trying to join. And that's how we come into IPv6 as the next protocol to connect so many billions in accessible IP space as well. There is the issue all of us are aware of, ICANN transition. ICANN is undergoing changes in its governance. In November, we will be having the trade governance in Brazil, for those of us who will be lucky to be there. That will be the forefront agenda. The ICANN contract is running out, and we'll have more discussion about that, as well as enhanced cooperation, because with the internet, we have to cooperate with each other. And we'll wrap it up with a discussion on democracy, big data, and the internet. Because internet, IT, or ICT offers us the beauty of interpreting, because as more online, where every day we are processing tons and tons, terabytes and terabytes of data, a lot of statistics, a lot of analysis. So how do we use this to better us as society? How do we use this to enhance our lives? That will be the agenda for today. Tomorrow will be half-day session. And we'll be looking at connecting the next billion. There's a map that Gloria shared with me, I think, last week, or that she presented at Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where she was representing the Uganda Trade Governance Forum, and it showed a map of the world. If you could map the internet of the world on one sheet, you might see a lot of Africa, Asia as the dark spots, and a lot of activity in Europe, North America. That means that the focus now will be on us here in Africa, in Asia, to connect the next billion. But for us to do that, we need to make the internet relevant for a local person who doesn't even know how to speak English. What would drive them to use the internet? Then we look at issues like the cost, the connectivity, as well as the role that each one has to play, government and civil society, private sector, business people, to see how we can help connect those who are not connected right now to the internet, for all them to be a part of the ecosystem. And then we'll wrap it up with a draft report presentation from the today's event, and plan for each of our responsibilities. That's a lot of talking, but good enough. At the end of today, we'll have a cocktail. We'll be letting you know the place where we can go and unwind and interact as well. That's it from here. I would like to proceed and invite Ms. Lilian Nalonga to make her opening remarks. Just a little bit of protocol oversight. We'll be starting shortly, waiting for the permanent secretary who will be shortly walking in for us to begin. I welcome Dr. Jilipat Samaya. Dr. Jilipat Samaya is the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Information and Communications Technology in Uganda. It's a ministry responsible for all policies, laws, regulation, IT within Uganda, and we are honored to have you here to address our congregation. Mr. Permanent Secretary, before you here today are members who know what the internet means to them within the East African community. We have representation from all East African countries. We have people from civil society, some are government, some are in the education forum, some are in the Internet Society chapters. And the internet means something to each and everyone sitting here before us today. And we'll be discussing the issues that pertain the internet that we can at the end present as that the East African community has decided on, deliberated on what the internet means to them and where we are going within the next few years and the aspirations of what we'd like to see. And a big part of that is the government that has a role to play towards that. With these few remarks, I'd like to invite Ms. Lillian Alwaga to give us welcome and introductions, and thereafter invite the rest of the people that talk to make their speeches. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emma. Ladies and gentlemen, a good morning to you all. And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, great. Yes, I was just making sure we are all here and we are not thinking about our code that we had to be for ED. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Dr. Samanya, it's a pleasure for you to join us this morning. Engineer Mwesigwa, it's a pleasure that you joined us today. And Mr. Cheng, I'm not going to introduce him the panel because Emma's done that, but a few welcome remarks from us, the local hosts, and also I'll talk about the EAIGF, give a brief background, why the process, why we are here. Emma has taken us through the program. But just to say that we are very thankful for everyone who has managed to make it here. Like Emma said, we have representatives from the region, private sector, government and civil society. And for the local delegates, the Ugandans who are here, we are happy that you made it because in the course of the week, we are getting people asking us that today is a public holiday, whether the forum was still taking place. And we said, well, if you'd like to have a way forward and see internet bring something meaningful to you, this is a place to be. And I think some of the tweets that have been going on, we've been having people telling people to come celebrate Eid with us as we deliberate on internet governance issues in the region. So we really appreciate your presence here today. All protocols observed. I would like to give a brief background because of time. I will not dwell on that so much. The East African Internet Governance Forum is a process that began in 2008 with participation from all countries, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi. And I think the first forum was convened in Kenya. And I think Kenya has hosted this forum 3 times. This is the second time Uganda is hosting this forum. We hosted this in 2010 at this very venue. And I see their faces who are here in 2010. And that time, Mr. Mwesigwa and the PS were present. I think ICANN wasn't participating then in the forum. But we are happy that this time around ICANN has been able to support us. So this process is, it follows a multi-stakeholder bottom-up approach where we start with conversations from the national level that build up into the regional forum. As you may have noticed on the program, and as Emma mentioned earlier, we have presentations from the national internet governance forums. So before we can hold this forum, we try to ensure that at least all the member countries have held national IGFs. And just to give some bit of reflection and maybe looking forward to the next session, Kenya held this national IGF on July 31st. Uganda, we hosted ours in August 11. It was hosted by the ministry in partnership with NITA, CPESA, where I also work with. the Internet Society, and a couple of other stakeholders. Rwanda and Burundi, unfortunately, have not been able to hold national IGFs yet. For Burundi, I don't think there will be one this year because of the current stability, if that is the word I should use. But Rwanda should be holding theirs in the next coming months. We'll hear more from the Rwanda representative. But just briefly, that is how we get the build-up to this forum. Moving on, I'll not go into the program, but I would like to thank the sponsors, those people who have made this forum a success. Like we see, the Ministry of ICT has been at the forefront on making sure that this forum takes place, and that is why we have the representation of the PS, Dr. Samanya. We've got support from Burundi Backbone System Company, and I think they have representation here. We've had support from the Bandwidth Cloud Services. We'll hear more about what they are doing in the region in the coming session. Liquid Telecom and AfriCell are providing internet that we are able to do live streaming with. That is a big plus because in the past we've struggled getting private sector come into this space to have a conversation. So for us this year, we are very thankful for the private sector partnerships that we've got to support us. That is Liquid Telecom, Bandwidth Cloud Services, AfriCell, and KeyNote. I can say that KeyNote was one of the first sponsors and the first partners in the EAIGF when it started in 2008, and up to date, we've been able to have that sponsorship. So we are very thankful for KeyNote for the support they have given us, and we look forward to have this support continue. The Kenya ICT network, many of us who are not from Kenya, this is a vibrant network. It's similar to some of the networks we have here, but it has been able to promote this event back in Kenya. We have, of course, CIPESA, which I will not say so much about because CIPESA has been at the forefront of internet governance in Uganda. Internet Society, we'll hear more from Mr. Kevin from ISOC Africa, but of course the Internet Society chapter, that is where I'm the president, so we are working hand in hand with the Internet Society. The Union of Tanzania Press Club, we have representation from Tanzania, they provided support, and also about the IGF Support Association. This association was started by Internet Society, and it runs on, should I say, well-wishers of the Internet Governance Forum, globally, not just limiting it to the national regionals. So it's a basket where funders can donate money that supports national and regional initiatives. So they were also able to provide us support to this forum. And I welcome everyone here to become a member of the association and be able to contribute to also that space. The minimum fees for joining is $50. So feel free to join the IGF Support Association. And of course, ICANN. As we shall hear more from Bob, ICANN will give us a brief overview of what's happening in the internet governance space and all that. So with those few months, I wish to thank you all for creating time to join us today to deliberate on how we can improve internet in East Africa. Thank you. Emma, I'll introduce the next speaker. We'll hear from Mr. Bobo Chen, and then this will be followed by Mr. Patrick Mwesigwa, representing the ED, NITA, and of course, lastly, my sincere apologies, Uganda Communications Commission. Thank you, thank you so much, Mr. Patrick. And then lastly, we'll hear from the PS. Bob, you have nothing.
Thanks, Lillian. I think I will speak from here. Yes, now that I was a teacher in my other life. Okay, so the height is good, is encouraging. I was once somewhere and this podium was the height of the speaker, and they said it is presidential height, so this height is good. So Excellencies, Honorable Delegates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mr. Pierce, I am really happy to come back to Kampala and to really meet you again. And I'm happy to note that from what has been described and from my own experience the last time I was here, I am convinced that this is one of the few ministries in East Africa that is really supporting the idea. One of the very few ministries. I come from Kenya, and I will not say what is happening over there, but I can confirm that this level of support from government, I think Uganda is leading, and to that we really want to encourage you. And for those who would want to know, Dr. Jimmy is one of the few people that I've written emails to and gotten a response, as in a personal response on email, without being asked to send a letter and things like that. So that is not taken for granted. So thank you very much once again, and thank you for hosting us and the wonderful facilities that you actually availed at our disposal. I think it's great to be in Uganda again. I'll make very few remarks, and of course apologies for my boss, the Vice President for Africa, who was actually meant to be here, because the IGFs are one of the events that are very critical for ICANN, because we believe it is through these discussions that we encourage this animal that we call multi-stakeholderism, that governments specifically are trying to accommodate. They understand it, but accommodating multi-stakeholderism has not been that easy. So the IGF has been a platform that is really encouraging this idea of engaging and involving all stakeholders in not only matters internet, but even other government decisions. So I think while multi-stakeholderism is an approach, whenever all stakeholders are consulted, normally you end up with a win-win situation, and decisions are actually acceptable, and they move faster. So it is these events that are encouraging such engagements, not only at the regional level, but also at the national levels, and that is very critical. One minister recently told us that we are talking about internet governance, but for him, the day we will give him internet, then we can then discuss internet governance, or we can discuss how to govern it. In other words, he was saying, how do we talk about governing something that we don't have? So I honestly think he had a point. But whether, because we might not have the level of internet that we may desire, whether that means that we should not talk about internet governance, or whether that means that we should stay back and let those who really have it talk about it, I am not sure. I think this is a discussion that needs to continue, especially during this time. As Emmanuel and of course Lillian has underscored, something is happening in the internet ecosystem, especially in the organization that I work for. You will know that last year in March, the US government announced that it will give up its stewardship over IANA functions, okay? And most of the time, IANA, ICANN has been a very confusing discussion. People have asked me, how is IANA related to ICANN? Or is IANA another organization? How does it work? And of course, in many instances, those of us who are aware about what IANA is or what ICANN is, and the internet ecosystem and its players, including ISO, including IAGF, including government, have not made it easier for those who don't know to actually also understand. So today, later on, I'll be discussing and giving a status update on what has happened so far. But I think it suffices to say that it is a very important discussion that is going on. And I can confirm that Africa's participation and even voice has not been felt to the extent that the size of Africa should be felt. In a community or in a global ecosystem of, I don't know, are we 7 billion or 8 billion? Africa, I think, is over 1 billion. I think it's very important that this size, our size, should be felt in decisions at the global level. I don't think in this age there is really anything or an excuse for Africa to say that this discussion is only for those who have internet. I think it is paramount that we make our voice and influence heard at the global level. And it is very critical for ICANN because, as you know, ICANN is a multi-stakeholder and a bottom-up organization. And therefore, what is ultimately implemented is the different discussions that have come up from the bottom up. So if we are not really following or participating, and participating actually means going to the level of making written submissions, because that is what is referenced, that is what can be referenced, then whatever is happening at the global level is likely going without Africa's input. And I think that will be a tragedy. Especially for governments, we understand that, you see, when you say internet governance, then you see governance and govern are almost synonymous with government. So it might be a struggle understanding why governments are finding themselves together with participants who are not from government. Because as far as they understand, governing anything is government's responsibility. But I'm happy that progress is happening, and most of our governments have actually understood that the internet by its nature has been very unique. And honestly, even if it were to be left to governments, I'm not sure they'd actually know how to handle it. So it's better off doing it together on the same footing and agreeing to disagree and ultimately coming up with policies that will propel further reach and penetration of the internet. So at ICANN we are committed to supporting the IAGF, not only at the global level, but also regionally and nationally. And we believe that these are some of the platforms that will encourage awareness about the internet. So with those remarks, I really thank you for making time to come and for listening to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lillian. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of ICT, Dr. Jimmy Samanya, ICT stakeholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends. First of all, I would like to express the apology of my Executive Director, Uganda Communications Commission, Mr. Godfrey Mutabazi, who had very much wanted to be here with us this morning, but somehow he couldn't make it because of other urgent commitments. So he requested me to represent him on this very important event. But when he said I should represent him, I couldn't complain, as Leon knows. I was personally involved in the WISI's preparatory process right from 2002. Those who remember, the Uganda chapter was very active from 2002 right through 2005. 2002 we prepared for the WISI's 1, which was held in Geneva, and I think I attended that one also. And then we had the second phase of the summit of WISI's, which was in Tunis, 2005. I was there, I can organize a few phases. Leon was definitely there in Tunis, and a few other phases I can recall. But and I attended the first 2 IGF meetings. I think there was one in Athens in 2006, and then another one in Hyderabad, India, around 2007. But thereafter, I had also other assignments and have not been as active as we used to be. However, if you allow me, let me read the speech of my executive director, Labati. I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the organizers of the East African Internet Governance Forum for their effort in organizing this forum and for inviting me to speak at this important event. Let me also thank all the stakeholders who are mentioned by Rian, who have contributed in one way or another towards this forum. I think they deserve an applause. Indeed, the forum has come at an opportune time as we prepare for the global IGF, which is to be held in Brazil in November this year. 12 years ago, as we discussed ICT inclusion, the focus of a number of national plans around the world was largely on increasing access to voice communication. Today, however, we all recognize that ICTs are a lot more than just telephony services. To date, Uganda has registered modest achievements against WISI's targets that were to be achieved by 2015. With regard to infrastructure, Uganda has made strides through both government and private sector interventions, resulting in border-to-border optic fiber connectivity. While there is 100% voice coverage at sub-county level, data penetration and subscription are still relatively low. However, over 48% of Uganda's population is below 14 years of age, making the current phone penetration figures look reasonable. Under the Rural Communication Development Program, Uganda Communications Commission has undertaken a number of initiatives to incorporate ICTs in education, health, and government. Computer labs have been established in 1,027 secondary schools and in 51 higher institutions of learning around the country. In addition, internet access is being rolled out to all these locations. ICTs have themselves been incorporated in the education curriculum as a compulsory subject at secondary school level. There is also a number of initiatives by government and other stakeholders geared at developing educational content. Furthermore, Research and Education Network of Uganda has been facilitated to link up with other research education networks in sub-Saharan Africa and with others in Europe. And the UCC has contributed tremendously in this effort. Towards community access, the Uganda Communications Commission has complemented private sector efforts and facilitated the establishment of 105 community access points. 20 post offices have also been provided with ICT facilities, again using funds from the Rural Communication Development Program. A community ICT training program was established in 2012 and so far has trained over 28,000 people. To improve the health services, 126 health centers have been provided with telemedicine facilities and internet access. Efforts made to build confidence in the use of ICTs, including enacting cyber laws and establishing a communication sector computer emergency response team, otherwise known as SAT, in partnership with the International Telecommunications Union, the ITU. This SAT is been operational for over 2 years and is located in the Communications House, not very far from where we are here. Bringing ICTs to all global citizens necessitates ensuring the services are not only available, but are also affordable, reliable, relevant, and secure. This calls for the involvement of all of us, governments, industry, civil society, academia, and stakeholders in other sectors. We believe that ICTs should not be regarded as a luxury and should feature prominently as a priority in the post-2015 development agenda. This will not only accord ICTs greater focus at the international level, but facilitate its prioritization at the national level. In UCC, we strongly support the collaboration through regional, continental, and international joint initiatives towards creating an information society supported by a connected world. We applaud the progress made under WISIS towards achievement of the original objectives. We hope that the cooperation as well as the commitment demonstrated by all stakeholders in getting this point shall continue towards a seamless global digital unit. With those few remarks, I wish to thank you for your attention and I wish you successful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mwesigwa. I would like to now invite the PS to give us our welcome remarks on behalf of the Ministry.
Thank you, Lillian. Our distinguished guests and participants, all protocol observed. While Mr. King was suffering from a very tall, I think for me it is the opposite, isn't it? I'm here to represent the Minister of Information and Communications Technology, Honorable John Nasasira, and also Minister of State for ICT in Uganda, Honorable NyombiThembo, who had been assigned to be with us today. They both send warm greetings and wish us success in this but I think it is more official to read the statement by the minister as given to me. And it goes, on behalf of Government of Uganda in general and the Ministry of Information and Communications Technology in particular, I welcome you to this forum. Let me start by thanking all of you for taking off time off your busy schedule to come to Uganda to participate in this very important dialogue of enhancing the internet environment within our region. My addition is that, especially taking into account that today is Eid Day, that is my addition. The ministry, in partnership with the Internet Society local chapter, Uganda chapter, is excited to host this year's East African Internet Governance, and we really thank all those, as Ian mentioned, who have contributed in one way or another to ensure that it takes place. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may all recall, the world's socio-economic development, has undergone very many revolutions. You may recall that we had the Stone Age. The Stone Age revolution was followed by the Agrarian Revolution. Then we had the Industrial Revolution. And now we are in the Information Age. And in this Information Age, we all appreciate and know that Internet plays a pivotal role. In today's world, the Internet has become an important tool in all sectors of the economy and in sectors of all actors, including governments, the private sector, civil society, as well as all individuals. Either in business, social undertakings, and communicating with our friends and families on a daily basis. We also use it in carrying out research and also keeping abreast with what is happening around the world. The internet in Africa is growing very fast. According to the Internet Society reports of May 2015, internet penetration levels are about 20% and is rapidly rising. The mobile internet subscriptions are also rising quickly, and we are told that the coverage is about 70%. This has been enhanced, among other factors, by the increase in the submarine cables along the coast. For East Africa, I remember about 7 years ago, there was, I think, only 2 submarine cables. One running at Mombasa and another running at Dar es Salaam. But now, Mombasa alone, I think has 5. It's had to be corrected by either UCC or change. But at least 4, 5 are landing in Mombasa. To that you can add those landing on other landing on other coasts. So this has partly led to proliferation of internet. This success has allowed to reduce the gap between Africa and the rest of the world as far as usage of internet is concerned. And this has had a positive impact on Africa's economies, since internet is a major contributor to economic growth. The McKinsey report of October 2011 indicated that the internet contributed 21% to GDP growth, has contributed 21% of GDP growth for the last 5 years in the mature economies, and the East African countries have also been at the forefront of this success. Amidst the excitement of increased usage of internet as access continues to grow, we nevertheless have had challenges that we need to address. Examples include fighting cybercrime. You know, with all this excitement of increased usage, now a very emerging and real threat is cybercrime. The other challenge is the privacy and protection of data for persons and for institutions. So data protection and privacy is an emerging challenge. The other challenge is improving access and developing relevant local content. So these and other challenges calls for continued understanding and developing appropriate policies and, where necessary, regulations. Digital change is, and for good reasons, not uncomfortable whenever governments talk about regulations, for the reasons they are already given. The multi-stakeholder, multi-institutional approach to good governance in internet management. I think that's one of the reasons. This calls for truly understanding and appropriate policies that address internet issues. I've had the occasion to look at what is contained in the program. That is the key focus areas, which also include connectivity and infrastructure development, promoting local innovation and content, among others. And as a ministry, we are happy to note that government of Uganda, in partnership with the member states in the East African community, COMESA, the private sector and the civil societies, is addressing and will continue to address some of those key focal areas highlighted. Just to give a few examples of how this partnership is addressing some of the challenges. One, government of Uganda has developed the National Broadband Strategy, whose objective generally is to facilitate the uptake of broadband for socio-economic transformation of the country. At regional level, that is the East African community, and especially under the Northern Corridor integration projects, we have developed a harmonized regional broadband strategy. It's still in draft form, it's still consultations are continuing, but the framework is in place. Two, again, through the Northern Corridor integration projects and also East African community, we are promoting the establishment of one network area for voice, SMS, and data within the partner states. What this actually means, and so far we have succeeded for voice, is that making, for example, a telephone call from Arusha to Uganda, Kenya, and vice versa. We are looking at fairly uniform rates. We are saying that making a call for the moment, making permanent. And I think during coffee break, some of you may share this experience, whether they have started working, whether when you are in Kakamega, you can talk to somebody in Mananga at the same rate. But at least I have that experience now, and that's one of the initiatives. We started with the voice, but we are also extending it to SMS and data. I am told that data requires a number of issues to be addressed, but nevertheless, we are almost there. But for voice, at least it is working. The third one is that we have developed a national information security framework and strategy. It is already in place in Uganda, and again we are working with the member states of the East African community to develop one harmonized policy framework, especially to address cybercrime. The fourth highlight is that government has intensified internet awareness campaigns, again in partnership with all involved institutions, including civil society. For example, in partnership with the Internet Society Uganda chapter, the ministry carried out awareness campaigns in several secondary and primary schools and developed toolkits to guide children, teachers and parents on how to ensure safe internet environment for children online. I mean, we are also aware, and I've said it, that the very good internet which all of us are working hard to promote has been taken on by detractors, especially those affecting children. However, despite these interventions that I've highlighted and many more others, there are still challenges that I believe this forum will need to discuss and propose solutions and implement solutions. Highlight of some of them. One, the cost of internet access is still high and largely unaffordable for the majority of our population. Access fees remain significantly higher than those in developed countries. Yes, we have made the broadband access, we are working on it, and the costs are going down very fast, but nevertheless, it is not readily available. You know, the word affordable is relative, isn't it? What I call affordable or unaffordable may not be the case with any other colleague, depending on a number of factors. But overall, we find that for a big percentage of our population, it is still unaffordable. The second is that although we have made significant strides in developing our national backbone infrastructure, there is still considerable work needed to develop last mile solutions. Mr. Mwesigwa talked a little bit about it, but the last mile is still an issue in many of our countries, and is partly responsible for the high cost and unaffordability of internet. There is also, number 3, need to attract more local and international investors to the ICT sector in order to reach our goals faster. And lastly, though not the least, is that we have limited local content development and local hosting. Perhaps this is partly responsible for a little bit high rise in cybercrime. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the holding of this forum is very, very timely. It is an opportunity for us to compare notes on how we are progressing on this front and agree together on collaborative mechanisms of promoting a free internet environment. It is therefore our duty as governments, as private sector, as civil society, as researchers, as academia, and general citizens of our countries to discuss and come up with solutions to these challenges. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank the Internet Society, the Uganda chapter, for having brought the government on board to co-host this conference. And I wish to plead on behalf of government that we shall continue supporting and organizing similar events in all spheres of ICT. I also thank you, the participants, for coming to be part of this dialogue. As I said earlier, when we realized that it's coinciding with ED Day, we had a bit of fears, but your massive turnout really emphasizes the point that you are committed to improvement and increase in usage and access to internet. We, as government, in fact I can say, as governments, because we discuss at the regional and even international level as governments, we are committed to open dialogue and partnerships that will better the lives of our society. Finally, I have the honor and privilege to open this East African Internet Governance Forum, and I wish you fruitful deliberations and outcomes for God and my country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samanya, for those very nice welcome remarks, and you stressed very key points on, you set, I think, the pace on what we need to focus at. That is a good direction. The cost of, what I've picked out is the cost of internet is still high and largely unaffordable for all, and it's true. Affordability is relative. For some of us here, we may think that we have enough resources to connect, but when we go to the wider area, people are not able to do that. Connecting the last mile is also something that has been a key challenge, not just in East Africa, but in Africa, and I'm told also in some of the developing countries as well. We may think that they have internet, but I think they also have what we call upcountry. Also the issue of local content and attracting local and international investors. We are happy that we have representatives from the telecoms here. I know these are not locally managed service providers, and as we can see, the session that will follow at 11, we have a lineup of private sector representatives. So probably we'll hear more on what it is they're doing in promoting development of the internet in the region, and of course also the issue of local content development and local hosting. That session will also try to address some of those things. Without taking more of your time. I would like to thank the panel. If you have questions, I'm sure Dr. Samanya is still around. If you have particular questions, and I think we have representation from ministry, they will stay around for the next session. So I would like to thank you so much, Dr. Samanya, Engineer Mwesigwa, and Bob, for those kind welcome remarks. I would like to call on Emmanuel to please lead us into the next session. And then thereafter, I think we'll try to take any Q&A you may have directed to Engineer Mwesigwa or to Dr. Samanya. And please note that we are live. So we are live as in on the internet. The event is being streamed live. I don't know how many followers, but we'll try to pay attention to the people who are following us remotely. And if there are any questions they have towards any of the panelists, we'll be able to take that. We've seen there's been some sort of tweets coming. I don't know what the Twitter feed. We are using the hashtag EAIGF, yes, and EAIGF15. So please tweet and also try to make us look so nicely on Twitter. Let's break down Twitter today. So thank you so much. Emma, please.